And he says, honest to God, I saw this picture and I told my team, you really shouldn't do things like that. It's not very nice. And they said, no, no, no. The White House put this picture out. And I was pissed. I said, as you heard, I'm still angry when I think about it. We're not laboring under a king. But it was that image, that day, that I believe triggered the No Kings rallies all across America. So we stood up here in New York. We showed who we are. And yes, the cameras are staying on. But now, my friends, the results are extraordinary, beyond what we could have expected. And I am so proud to run through some of these for you, because you should just be saying them in your sleep. And if there's any naysayers out there, tell me who they are and we'll have a conversation. I'll meet you at my local diner. Because we took on. No, it's all right. Talk to everybody. Talk to everybody. You know that. We said, enough with gridlock. It must end. Enough with emergency vehicles being stuck in traffic. That must end. Enough with wasting people's valuable time away from their families and their jobs and everything else they want to do in New York. Just have a good time. And enough with polluting our air, with all the emissions. And enough with underfunding the transit system that is the lifeline of this entire region. So we got it done. We changed how people in this great city and the region live, how they breathe, how they act. And now the results are in. Traffic entering the congestion zone is down 11%. And this is incredible. 27 million fewer cars going into that zone over the last year. 27 million. And the air is cleaner. Pollution is down more than 20% in 1 year. People with asthma are breathing better. Little kids don't have to worry about this. And our streets are safer. New York City recorded its safest streets in history. That's a long time. With crashes and injuries down in the congestion zone. And everybody who told me, from the president on down, you're killing New York City, nobody's gonna come, no, traffic's down because the place is empty, no one's there. It's like, seriously, have you been here lately? Because Manhattan, it's had some of its best years, the best year for Broadway. Everybody, sales tax receipts in the area that people said would be killed by this are up 6%. I mean, people are still coming, they're still shopping, they're still spending money. And best year for office leasing. So all the doomsayers said people are gonna leave Manhattan and there'll be all these buildings that are empty. Best year for online leasing in 20 years, leading the nation. So we're moving, speeds are up, buses are faster, transit ridership is up in the zone as well. But guess what? We gave you some time back. How does 25% faster coming through the Lincoln Tunnel sound? Oh, let me top that. How about 51% faster coming through the Holland Tunnel? About 25% faster going across our bridges into Brooklyn and Queens. That's time in your life that's precious. And I don't think anyone could have predicted that before congestion pricing, about 117 hours were lost commuting for New Yorkers, just stuck in traffic, 5 solid days out of your life, and now we have more time. How's it feel, everybody? Feel good to have time, right? Feels good? Feels good. You can focus on what's important, and I want to give a tribute, a shout out to all the true believers who decades ago talked about this. And some are not with us here today, some have passed on. But let's reflect on what it takes sometimes to get something done. Shouldn't take that long, but those who never gave up believing, they never gave up believing. I remember Dan Doctoroff talking about this a long time ago. I remember Kathy Wild has been talking about this a long time. There's so many, I can't give all these shout outs, but all of you, everybody. There are an incredible number of people who just said, I believe in this idea, I believe in this city, and I believe we can get it done, and we did. So thank you. Thank you to our heroes. So we had years of debate, years of study, litigation. Oh my God, how much I had to spend on litigation on this. The lawsuits, the critics saying it couldn't be done. So for those of you who are keeping score, I've got more than 10 lawsuits. We have a pretty good record. Every time it's gone before a judge, the judge says, no, the state is right, MTA's right, they're on the right path, they're doing this legally, and so why are we here? And again, later this month, guess where we'll be? We'll be back in court defending our program once again, but we'll just keep on winning. We'll be winning so much, we'll be tired of winning. So anybody trying to kill this program, just tell it to the judge, because they're going to be on our side. And as a reminder, there are a lot of people who really thought that this was going to result in their lives being affected negatively out on Long Island, the Hudson Valley, New Jersey, and others. It's a little bit quieter these days. The opposition's kind of calmed down, right? Anybody notice that? It's calmed down because people like getting across the bridges faster. They like coming to the city with more time on their hands. They're happy not to sit in traffic. So to those individuals who are driving in, their quality of life has improved as well, and I'm really proud of that, and I hope they understand what this program did for them. But lastly, this is also supposed to fund some really important projects. Now, when I first became governor, no offense to you, but where were we headed? We were going off the cliff, weren't we? We were literally going off the fiscal cliff. I empowered Jano to find savings. He did it. To find ways that we could be smarter, more efficient. He did it. But I also knew that we needed to have an ambitious plan for capital projects that have been never even contemplated to the scale we're doing right now. It's extraordinary. But this program will fund $15 billion worth of those capital projects that are improving our system, improving it. So, and we did a little bit cheaper too. Cut 40% off the costs, but getting the same $15 billion worth of projects. That is good news. That is good news. And so we're going to continue. I'm not letting up. I think this is fantastic. And it shows how when we have the audacious vision for New York that others may think about in other cities, just can't quite get it done. We know how to get things done because we're New Yorkers and we don't take no for an answer. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thanks to all the advocates, elected officials, and those who got us to the finish line here. Let me welcome another dreamer, a big audacious thinker, someone that we're so proud to work with over the next 4 years, and that is our mayor, Zohran Mamdani.
Can we hear it for our governor, Kathy Hochul? Today, as we gather to mark a year of congestion pricing, we are also celebrating something that feels too rare in our politics these days. And that is the change that can come when government dares to do big things. And we measure these things in statistics, and sometimes we lose sight of what it means in the lives of each and every New Yorker. Before I stood before you now as the mayor of New York City, I was an assembly member for Astoria in Queens. And in Astoria, there are many children who grew up with asthma, living close to what was described as Asthma Alley. When I first became the assembly member, one of my staff members told me that one of the activities she recalled growing up in the neighborhood was at recess asking other students to compare and contrast their inhalers. That is the way in which this kind of pollution had been and has been normalized. And so as we are here celebrating these cameras staying on, thanks to the governor's commitment despite tremendous pressure, we also celebrate what this has meant for New Yorkers, whether they are driving, whether they are biking, whether they are walking, taking a bus, taking the train, whether they are just breathing the air in the city that they call home. Because this is a program that has been successful no matter how you measure it. It's been a program if you want to measure it in noise complaints or you want to measure it in traffic. That is how it has been successful. And what we are seeing is that it is outstripping even the fiscal projections of what it would raise in a calendar year. We were anticipating that the first year would yield $500 million, and there were concerns of, was that possible to hit? And what we found instead is that this program in a calendar year has now raised close to $550 million. And I want to celebrate this especially because what the governor said is so critical. For a long time, we have asked the MTA to do the impossible without providing them with the funding that would even make it something they could consider. And what this program has done is commit funding to the very capital needs that had been put off for years, if not decades. And that is funding, those are investments that can transform the day-to-day realities of a New Yorker. And so as we celebrate the increase in transit ridership, we know that that increase could grow even further in the years to come as more and more money can be then spent on the infrastructure that would make that commute smoother, make it faster, make it more reliable. And I have to say thank you to all of the elected officials who stand here, whether at the city level, at the state level, the activists, the organizers, the advocates, who ensured that no matter what day it was, no matter what week it was, no matter what year it was, we all understood the imperative of dreaming of a different kind of streetscape in this city. And I was reading an article today about a driver from New Jersey who had self-identified as someone who was critical of the program. And he said, look, for all the $9 I'm spending, I'm now actually saving money I would have been spending on parking fees because I can now park on the street. And this is something that no matter which way you're approaching it from, we can see the success. And that is what we are here to celebrate, that success, that foundation, and that dream of a city that recognizes the importance of public transit as the vitality of what makes the city so great. Thank you so much. And now, our MTA Chair and CEO, Jano Lieber.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your constant partnership, your support. And I'm thrilled to be joined by Mayor Mandami, who was a strong supporter of transit, in case you didn't know, for a long, long time, and is really somebody that we look forward to working with. Governor, it's the YMCA, so I was sort of hoping that the president would roll in here doing his YMCA dance in support of congestion pricing, but I guess I'm going to have to wait to see whether he does it when we go to court in a month. Listen, you hit all the highlights of the benefits of this, that we've achieved in the first year of tolling, and you're right that it's going to bring us more benefits, more than just less congested streets. It's the new train cars that you're making possible, the new signals, the more ADA elevators. We are changing the city by making the subway system truly accessible for the first time. And we're making it easier to know what congestion pricing is paying for by actually putting up proper signage. It's going to say, this was paid for by congestion, and that was paid for by congestion pricing. Listen, 2025 was an unbelievably huge year for the MTA. You put out a press release about it. 1.9 billion trips across the system, record on-time performance, subway, Long Island Railroad, Metro North, surging customer satisfaction, which is what we all want. And we're knocking out those capital projects funded by congestion pricing faster and better and cheaper than ever before, on time, on budget, many cases under budget. This is good government in action, folks. And I have to shout out the people at the MTA, Bridges and Tunnels, and the other agencies who worked for 5 years to prepare for that moment and made it. They're the reason, to a great extent, that we were able to execute congestion pricing so smoothly and flawlessly. This demonstrates what business-like government management can accomplish. That's what the governor asked me to do from day one. And, you know, we're doing it. We are identifying challenges, coming up with solutions in tandem with the communities we serve. So I am incredibly proud of this progress. Thank you again, Governor, for the tremendous leadership and support. And thank you also to Mayor Mandami. As I said, what a thrill to be working with a truly pro-transit mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it is my pleasure to introduce The RPA's leader, Kate Slevin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Regional Plan Association is really honored to be here with the governor, the mayor, and Jano Lieber, and so many advocates and external organizations who are part of the Congestion Pricing Now Coalition who have been pushing for this. There's dozens of groups, hundreds and hundreds of people, and thousands of people across the region who supported this and made their voices heard and helped the government get it passed, and the governor's leadership really led the way. So if you're part of the Congestion Pricing Now Coalition, I want you to raise a round of applause for yourself and for our leaders here who were so steadfast in getting this done. By every calculation, congestion pricing is a tremendous success. It has reduced traffic, increased transit ridership, and made streets safer, all while allowing the economy to remain strong. A new analysis released today by RPA and Hunter College reinforces the clear benefits of congestion pricing, some of which the governor announced earlier today. Traffic noise complaints are down, much more than inside the zone than outside the zone. Serious traffic injuries are down by 8.6% in the zone, a 5-time reduction than places outside of the zone. Congestion pricing has delivered benefits not only to Manhattan, but also throughout the entire metro area. Traffic delays are down or unchanged throughout the region, including the Bronx, Staten Island, Long Island, and our friends in northern New Jersey. Ridership on Long Island Railroad and Metro North are up, and investments are being made in train cars and stations across the network as we speak. And if the MTA region is doing well, it helps the entire state. That's because upstate residents benefit from the tax revenue generated here that supports statewide government services. More than 80% of the personal income tax and 65% of sales tax in New York State are generated in the MTA region. And congestion pricing benefits don't stop at the state border. In fact, New Jersey bus riders, along with drivers coming into the Port Authority, are some of the biggest winners from congestion pricing in terms of time savings. And 100% of congestion pricing net revenue is going to the MTA's capital program. This not only improves commutes, it creates jobs. The MTA's capital program is really an economic powerhouse, generating 72,000 jobs across the state of New York and delivering benefits across the region and the country. Beyond all the benefits, I think the biggest takeaway today is that congestion pricing is no longer daily news. It has become part of normal life here in New York. RPA stands committed and steadfast, ensuring the program remains in effect, continuing to deliver the benefits our region's residents deserve. Thank you, Governor, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Jano, for your leadership.
All right, questions? Good. Yeah, we're going to do on-topic questions here just because we're really tight on time, really tight. Let's start with Dave Colon right there from Streets Blog, everybody. Apparently a popular favorite with the simple passive.
Man, and I asked this and people are going to get mad. I had one for the governor and one for the mayor. Governor Hochul, can you talk a little bit about your evolution from the person who was the architect of the congestion pricing pause to the person who was the architect of the cameras are staying on? And Mayor Mamdani, can you talk a little bit about if the city has any plans to do anything more to grab a little bit more of the space dividend that we have this lack of cars in the city now? We want to obviously make more room for buses, cyclists, pedestrians, things like that. Do a little more than was done under Mayor Adams.
The pause was related to the cost of congestion pricing. I wanted to find a path forward at a time.
Right, we were hoping that they were actually going to take some off-topic questions here regarding the situation that happened.